एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधारा श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So we are going to continue our reading from Bhagavad Gita. We are reading from the Bhagavad Gita as it is. We are on chapter 2, and today we'll read from text 49 onwards. Are you all able to see the screen? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Would somebody like to read the Sanskrit? Would somebody like to try it?
Sure. Shall I read?
Please.
Okay, just one moment. Thank you. Durena hi avaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya buddha sharanam anvicham kripanaha phalahetava.
A translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O Dhananjaya, keep all abominable activities far distant by devotional service, and in that consciousness surrender unto the Lord. Those who want to enjoy the fruits of their work are misers. So here Krishna is calling Arjuna Dhananjaya, Dhananjaya conqueror of wealth, because when Yudhishthir Maharaj, he had done the Ashwamedha Yagya, then Arjuna had helped to get a lot of wealth, because when we do sacrifices, then a lot of wealth is required. And that's why all those sacrifices are not recommended now in Kali Yuga. The only sacrifice that is recommended in Kali Yuga is the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is free of charge, no cost for it. One who has actually come to understand one's constitutional position as an eternal servitor of the Lord gives up all engagements save working in Krishna consciousness. Now, we are all of us are in different situations in life. We are man or woman, we are working, or we are housewife, or we are students, or, we are in different situations, different positions, and we identify ourselves with those positions. Oh, I'm a man or a woman. I'm an Indian, or I'm an American, or I'm an, I look a certain way. So we think that that is the reality, but that is not the truth. Our constitutional position, our true position is that we are eternal servitor of Krishna. We are all eternal souls. And as a soul, what is our activity? That we have a loving relationship with Krishna. Each and every one of us, whether we accept it or no, whether we realize it or no, that's a fact. It's a fact which can never be changed. So once a person understands this position, understands his true position, then what does he do? Then for him, of course, then nothing else makes sense except to work in Krishna consciousness. Serve for the pleasure of the Lord. Work for the pleasure of the Lord. As already explained, Buddhi Yoga means transcendental loving service to the Lord. Such devotional service is the right course of action for the living entity. Now, we may not be at that position, but the acharyas, they have given us the process by which, following which, we can be situated in that position. By hearing and chanting about Krishna, it's pleasing to Krishna. By doing that, we are reviving our relationship with Krishna. We are being situated in our relationship with Krishna, whether we understand it or no. And one day we will see the Lord face to face. So, and this is the right thing for us to do. It's our duty, it's our swadharma, it's our sanatan dharma, our eternal duty. Because we are souls. So our bodily duties, we are going to continue doing it. We'll be forced to do it under the modes of nature, whether we like it or no. We we will be forced to act in certain ways. But what we have to consider is that I'm a soul, so I have an eternal duty, and that duty is really important. And so we should, by somehow or the other, with great determination and enthusiasm, regularly hear and chant about the Lord. Except for work in Krishna consciousness, all activities are abominable because they continually bind the worker to the cycle of birth and death. One should therefore never desire to be the cause of work. Now, we are always like to take credit. Oh, it's because of me. I'm doing this. See how great I am. I did it. You know, we like to take that ownership. And Western education teaches us, yes, you should take ownership of it. But Bhagavad Gita is teaching us the other way, that we shouldn't think of ourselves as the cause of work. Why? Because when we think ourselves as the cause of work, we will have to come back to this material world to either enjoy or suffer the results or the reactions of the work. And then how do we get out of here? This human life is the only small window that we have, you know, to be able to get out of this material world. And so that's why we are advised that everything should be done in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of Krishna. So how can we do it on a practical level? Wherever we are in society, whatever position we are in, we continue to hear and chant about the Lord, and we do our duties for the pleasure of the Lord. That, my dear Lord, for some reason, due to my past activities or by your will, I'm here in this position. So let me try to do my duty to the best of ability. Let me try to connect whoever I'm coming in contact with to you, to Krishna. You know, we can work in that consciousness and Krishna will be satisfied. And then what happens when we work in that way? Then our attachment to this world reduces gradually, and our attachment to Krishna increases. And in this way, we can remember Krishna continuously, because that is what we have to do. We have to somehow or the other try to remember Krishna. And then so that when the final moment comes, that when we have to leave the body, then we can remember Krishna and then go back to Goloka Vrindavan. Misers do not know how to utilize the assets of riches by which they acquire by good fortune or by hard labor. One should spend all energies working in Krishna consciousness, and that will make one's life successful. Like misers, unfortunate persons do not employ their human energy in the service of the Lord. So by some good fortune, we have gotten this human form of life. And by some greater fortune, we have come in contact with the devotees. We are here sitting together reading Bhagavad Gita as it is, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So it's by the mercy, by Srila Prabhupada's mercy that we are here. It's just our good fortune. And then we should take advantage of this good fortune. We should not waste this human form of life only in the material duties, because that we are going to continue doing anyways. Even if we take another life, if we become an animal, we are going to continue to eat, sleep, mate, and defend. But bhakti we can do only in the human form of life. So we should take good advantage of this rare human birth that we have acquired. And we should try to spread this good fortune to others. Somehow or the other, we became fortunate. So we should try to make others also fortunate by telling them about Krishna, by telling them about their relationship with Krishna. Is that okay? Yes? Any questions, comments? If no, then we move on to the next verse. Text 50. Buddhi yukto. I'm sorry? Okay. Buddhi yukto jata jahatiha ubhe sukrita duskrite tasmad yogaya yujasva yoga karmasu koshalam. A man engaged in devotional service rids himself of both good and bad reactions even in this life. Therefore, strive for yoga, which is the art of all work. Since time immemorial, each living entity has accumulated the various reactions of his good and bad work. So we have been here in this material world. And then we have been getting these reactions, karma. We are accumulating more and more karma. Some are good, some are bad. As such, he is continuously ignorant of his real constitutional position. One's ignorance can be removed by the instruction of Bhagavad Gita, which teaches one to surrender unto Lord Sri Krishna in all respects and become liberated from the chained victimization of action and reaction, birth after birth. Arjuna is therefore advised to act in Krishna consciousness, the purifying process of resultant action. Now, we have forgotten who we are, what's our true position. We don't know. We have forgotten Krishna. We are thinking we are the body. And because we are thinking we are the body, we are continuously doing so many activities. Our whole day, our each mind, thought, our each thought, word, and action is all based to satisfy our body, to give pleasure to our body. So, and this is our ignorance. Now, this ignorance can be removed. It's only by surrendering to Krishna, as we are hearing from Bhagavad Gita. You know, when we are hearing it from the pure devotees of the Lord. And then what are we advised to do? We are advised to surrender to Sri Krishna. And how do we surrender? We chant the Hare Krishna mantra. We engage in Bhakti Yoga. When we are engaging in Bhakti Yoga, that is surrendering process to Krishna. And then the more we engage in Bhakti Yoga, the more things will become clearer. The more Krishna will reveal himself to us, the more we'll be able to experience Krishna. The more our ignorance will go away and we will realize the truth. Text 51. Would somebody like to read the Sanskrit?
I can read.
Okay.
कर्मजं बुद्धियुक्ता हि फलं त्यक्त्वा मनीषिणः जन्मबन्ध विनिर्मुक्ता पदं गच्छन्त्यनाम् अयम्.
By thus engaging in devotional service to the Lord, great sages or devotees free themselves from the results of work in the material world. In this way, they become free from the cycle of birth and death and attain the state beyond all miseries by going back to Godhead. Now, Krishna is telling Arjuna what happens when we engage in devotional service, what happens when we engage in bhakti yoga. The liberated living entities belong to that place where there are no material miseries. You know, actually, we don't belong here in this material world. We are souls. We are eternal souls. Why should we die? Why should we keep on taking another body? Why should we become old? And why should we be subjected to disease? We should not be accepting these things. But we somehow or the other, under the influence of Maya, we are accepting these things. We are thinking, okay, I'm the body, so I'm supposed to be here. No, we are supposed to be in the spiritual world, in Goloka Vrindavan, having a very nice festival there with the other devotees for the pleasure of Shri Radha and Krishna. So that is where all the liberated living entities live. And there are no material miseries. There's no tension there. There's no anxiety there. There is no, oh, somebody's speaking bad to me, or there's somebody's being angry at me, or there's no like COVID over there, or there is no economic problems. You know, there's nothing like that. The Bhagavatam 10.14, Canto 10, Chapter 14, Text 58 says, Samashrita ye pada palava plavam, mahat padam punya yasho murarehe, bhavam buddhir vatsa padam param padam, padam padam yat vipadam natesham. For one who has accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation and is famous as Mukunda, or the giver of mukti, the ocean of the material world is like the water contained in a calf's footprint. Parampadam, or the place where there are no material miseries, or Vaikuntha, is his goal, not the place where there is danger in every step of life. So this is the position of a pure devotee, a liberated soul. And then what does he do? He takes full shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. He has accepted the lotus feet of the Lord as his only shelter. And Krishna, he's the creator of this whole material world. Krishna's another name is Mukunda, because only Krishna can give liberation. Only Krishna can take us out of this material world. Not even Lord Brahma, not Lord Shiva, not Lord Ganesha, not Durga Devi, not Hanumanji. No one can take us out of this material world. Only Krishna or his pure devotee can take us out of this material world. And then for such a devotee, what happens? Who's taken complete shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord? This whole material universes, which is so vast, it's like a ocean which seems to be unending. This whole ocean becomes so small, just like enough water, which is in the footprint of a calf. A calf is so small, and the footprint is so small. And so that only that much water, this whole material creations becomes just as small as this. And so the pure devotee can just easily walk over it without any effort. And where does the pure devotee live? He lives in Vaikuntha. That's his goal. His goal is not to continuously live here in the material world. Why? Material world is a place where there is danger in every step of life. At any moment, anything can happen. And that's why subconsciously we are always very fearful. We have experience. Suddenly there might be an earthquake. We have so much experience of that in Taiwan, that, suddenly there can be an earthquake. We can't control it. Anything can happen. So that's why there's danger here in the material world at every step. So it is for our benefit that we are recommended to engage in Bhakti Yoga and get out of this material world as soon as we can. Prabhupada would say that our problem is that we are not enough scared of Maya, because we don't understand the truth. So we don't understand what's happening. And we are not able to also understand, once we get out of here, it's just blissful life, where there is no need to take any anxiety or tension. Owing to ignorance, one does not know that this material world is a miserable place where there are dangers at every step. Out of ignorance only, less intelligent persons try to adjust to the situation by fruitive activities, thinking that the resultant actions will make them happy. They do not know that no kind of material body anywhere within the universe can give life without miseries. So our mind is like that. Our mind says, right now I'm not happy. Right now I'm suffering. But I'm sure if the situation changes, then I will be very happy over here. So we try to work in that way, We try to get some pious karma. We try to do some charity. We try to adjust our material situation, maybe economically. We say, maybe if I have more money, maybe if I'm more beautiful, maybe if I'm thinner or fatter, or maybe if I go to the heavenly planets, then maybe I will be happy, So we are all thinking like that, but we do not realize that till the time we are in the material body, does not matter whichever kind of body it may be, in any of these heavenly planets, as long as we are in the material world, there is going to be miseries. Right from the ant up to Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma, he has the maximum facilities in this material universe. He has the highest amount of facilities there, but even he has to undergo sufferings. The miseries of life, namely birth, death, old age, and diseases, are present everywhere within the material world. But one who understands his real constitutional position as the eternal servitor of the Lord, and thus knows the position of the personality of Godhead, engages himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Consequently, he becomes qualified to enter into the Vaikuntha planets, where there is neither material, miserable life, nor the influence of time and death. So once we try to understand, once one understands that, hey, I'm not this body. I actually have an eternal relationship with Krishna. I have a loving relationship with Krishna. I'm an eternal servant of Krishna. And Krishna is my best friend. He's my best ever well-wisher. And Krishna loves me the most. And he's the greatest. Then what happens? Then we start engaging in loving service to Krishna. And then what happens? We get qualified to go back to the spiritual world, to stay in the Vaikuntha planets, where there is no misery. Vaikuntha, Kunta means misery, Vai means no misery. Vaikuntha means no misery. Over there, there is no disease over there. Nobody needs to die over there. Nobody needs to become old, and neither is there birth, because we are all in our eternal spiritual bodies. We are not envious over there of each other. And so our hearts are full of bliss with Radha and Krishna being in the center of our lives, you know, and every step is a dance and every word is a song, and it's like a beautiful spiritual festival going on at each moment. To know one's constitutional position means to know also the sublime position of the Lord. One who wrongly thinks that the living entity's position and the Lord's position are on the same level is to be understood to be in darkness, and therefore unable to engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord. He becomes a Lord himself and thus paves the way for the repetition of birth and death. But one who, understanding that his position is to serve, transfers himself to the service of the Lord, at once becomes eligible for Vaikuntha Loka. Service for the cause of the Lord is called Karma Yoga or Buddhi Yoga, or in plain words, devotional service to the Lord. Now, if we don't come to this point, till the time we don't come to this point that I'm an eternal servant of the Lord, till the time we don't come to that point, what we are thinking, that I'm the Lord myself. Who's Krishna? Krishna and me are equal. I'm God. Although we might not say it verbally, but we sure think of it. We sure think in that way, and we surely act in that way. You know, and then, but if we do that, then we are not able to engage in bhakti yoga, because we feel I don't need to submit to anybody. You know, I can do whatever I want. I'm independent. But then what happens is then I'm sorry. What happens with that is we continue to stay in this world of birth and death, you know. Haribol? Are you all able to see it? Sorry, there was just a small glitch just now. Are you all able to hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So till the time we don't come to that point, then we are not going to engage in bhakti yoga, because, oh, why should I hear and chant about the Lord? Why should I serve the Lord? Why I should serve myself? But then, you know, when the more we are, because we think that way, that's the reason we are still here in the material world. And that is our conditioning. That is something we have to give up. But once we understand that I'm a servant of Krishna, then we engage more in bhakti yoga, and our journey towards Krishna starts. And then we can go back home, back to Godhead. We are reserving our space. We are reserving our seat in the spiritual world by engaging in bhakti yoga. We are buying our ticket to go to the spiritual world. Like how if from over here also we have to reserve a seat, make a booking, then make a booking, make a reservation, make a hotel room reservation, actually go to the plane. So by doing bhakti yoga, we are also doing that, but our destination is Goloka Vrindavan. And we are buying a one-way ticket, not a return ticket. Is that okay? Anybody had any comments or questions or anything to add? I'm not able to hear very well. Vishal, are you saying something? I wasn't able to hear. No, no, I still can't hear. Is anybody else able to hear him, or is it only me?
No, even I couldn't hear anything.
Even you can't hear. So I think there's something wrong with the microphone. Vishal? Or you could write in the chat box if you like, and I could see it from there. And in the meantime, we could read the next text. Would somebody like to read the Sanskrit of the text 52?
I can read.
Yes, please.
यदा ते मोहकलिलं बुद्धिर्व्यतितरिष्यति तदा गन्तासि निर्वेदं श्रोतव्यस्य श्रुतस्य च.
When your intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of delusion, you shall become indifferent to all that has been heard and all that is to be heard. There are many good examples in the lives of the great devotees of the Lord, of those who became indifferent to the rituals of the Vedas simply by devotional service to the Lord. When a person factually understands Krishna and his relationship with Krishna, he naturally becomes completely indifferent to the rituals of fruitive activities, even though an experienced Brahmana. So the more we engage in Bhakti Yoga, the more we try to understand Krishna's position and our position and the position of the demigods, the position of this material nature, material energy, then we don't want to engage in any of the karma kand activities. We don't want to be engaging in the different rituals, because then we can try to understand the truth that, that's not the goal of life. The goal of life is to be situated in a loving relationship to Krishna. And so, but if I endeavor for all these material benefits, then I will be distracted from the goal. So a devotee does not want to do those things. Sri Madhavendra Puri, a great devotee and acharya, in the line of the devotee says, Sandhya Vandana Bhadramastu Bhavato Bhosnana Tubhyam Namo Bho Veda Pitarascha Tarpana Viddho Naham Shama Shamyatam Yatra Kwapi Nishadya Yadava Kulottamasasya Kam Sadvishaha Samaram Agham Harami Tad Alam Manye Kim Anya Name. Oh, my prayers 3 times a day, all glory to you. O bathing, I offer my obeisances unto you. O demigods, O forefathers, please excuse me for my inability to offer you my respects. Now, wherever I sit, I can remember the great descendant of the Yadu dynasty, Krishna, the enemy of Kamsa, and thereby I can free myself from all sinful bondage. I think this is sufficient for me. So, Sri Madhavendra Puri, he's a very great acharya in our line. Madhavendra Puri, he was the spiritual master of Ishwara Puri, who was the spiritual master of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so Sri Madhavendra Puri, he's teaching us how to do what he's saying, that some people have these ritualistic prayers that they do every day, maybe once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day, but those prayers are just as rituals. So he's saying, oh, my prayers 3 times a day, all glory to you. Now, okay, prayers are glorious, he's saying that. Oh, bathing, I offer my obeisances to you. So many people go to bathe in the places of pilgrimage. They go to Hardwar or something to say, oh, I've gone to bathe in the Ganges and Ganga Snan. Why? So that all my sins can go away. Then he's also saying, oh demigods, oh forefathers. So many people pray to the demigods. Many people pray to the Pitras. Then he's saying, please and excuse me for my inability. Please excuse me for my inability to offer you my respects. Now, wherever I sit, I can remember the great descendant of the Yadu dynasty, Krishna, the enemy of Kamsa. and thereby I can free myself from all sinful bondage. So just by remembering Krishna means we are doing more than bathing in all the holy places, by offering prayers to the demigods, by doing all the ritualistic prayers, by offering prayers to the forefathers. All that and even more is included just by remembering Krishna, you know, and our sins go away. The reason people do all these different things, go to do some Ganga Snan, go to do some charity, go to do some puja, that's to get rid of the sins. But by remembering Krishna, all the sins anyway go away, and we get love for Krishna. So we get much more. The Vedic rites and rituals are imperative for neophytes, comprehending all kinds of prayer 3 times a day, taking a bath early in the morning, offering respects to the forefathers, etc. But when one is fully in Krishna consciousness and is engaged in his transcendental loving service, one becomes indifferent to all these regulative principles because he has already attained perfection. If one can reach the platform of understanding by service to the Supreme Lord Krishna, he has no longer to execute different types of penances and sacrifices as recommended in revealed scriptures. And similarly, if one has not understood that the purpose of the Vedas is to reach Krishna and simply engages in the rituals, etc., then he is uselessly wasting time in such engagements. Persons in Krishna consciousness transcend the limit of Shabda Brahma or the range of the Vedas and Upanishads. So the goal of the Vedas, the Vedas are innumerous, and the goal of the Vedas is what? Just to see Krishna. That's the goal of Vedas, for us to come to the point of loving devotional service to Krishna. So if one is already situated in Bhakti Yoga, means they have done all the other rituals, everything they have done. So let's see, there is a question. I haven't seen Vaikuntha. I only get the information of Vaikuntha from Bhagavad, which in I have complete trust. But is there any harm? Instead of having desire of going Vaikuntha, I just call it a Vaikuntha, any such material world place where I'm surrounded by all other devotees and where every eyes is focused on serving God. Why shall I have desire only Vaikuntha? I know I won't come back, but to reach there also following all the principles is not 100% possible for me. Yeah, well, if you have a desire to stay in the association of devotees, that's a very, very good desire. That's an excellent desire to have, you know, to be surrounded by devotees. That's the reason Srila Prabhupada said that all the temples, the ISKCON temples, are not of the material world. They are Vaikuntha. Why? Because there the Lord is the center, and everybody's, the devotees, what is their purpose is to act for the pleasure of Krishna. So yes, of course, you can have the desire to be associating in the with the devotees, engage in Bhakti Yoga. It's very good desire. Please continue in this way. It's very good. Is that okay? Okay. Okay, so then we can go to the text 53. Would somebody like to read the Sanskrit? Or text 53. Sheetal, would you like to read? Or Meena, would you like to read?
Yeah, I don't mind. Thank you.
Yes.
Shruti vipratipanate yada sthasyati nischala samadhava achala buddhis tada yogam avapyasi.
When your mind is, I'm
Go.
sorry. Mm.
Go.
Hi. When your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, and when it remains fixed in the trance of self-realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness. So in the Vedas, the language of the Vedas is very flowery. Why? And we can get confused there, you know, because a lot of the Vedas, a big section of the Vedas is with Karma Kand, because we all have so many material desires and then we get attracted to it. But of course, the goal of the Vedas is to gradually to take us from Karma Kand to Jnana to Yoga and then finally to Bhakti. But in reaching there, we don't have such long lives, you know. In Kali Yuga, we have very short lives. We are Kali Yuga people, and we don't have so, even for 1 hour to sit for Bhagavad Gita lecture becomes so difficult for us. You know, what to speak of reading all the Vedas. And so that's the reason. In short, Srila Prabhu, Lord Chaitanya said, chant the holy name, read Srimad Bhagavatam, you know. He's given us this medicine for the age of Kali, for our benefit, because he knows that we won't be able to read everything. To say that one is in samadhi is to say that one has fully realized Krishna consciousness, that is, one is in full samadhi, has realized Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. The highest perfection of self-realization is to understand that one is eternally the servant of Krishna, and that one's only business is to discharge one's duties in Krishna consciousness. So many of us have that, who am I? Why am I here? What am I doing? What's this universe all about? Does it make sense? Does it not make sense? Then we hear from the devotees. The devotees, the guru, the representative of Krishna, a true guru. You know, we need the guidance of a guru to tell us what is what actually, what's the truth. And then he teaches us about Krishna. Like now we are hearing from Srila Prabhupada. He's telling us that Krishna is Bhagwan, Lord Krishna, the personal form of Bhagwan, Shyam Sundar, and he has a effulgence, a light coming out of his body, which is called the Brahma Jyoti, and he expands himself as Paramatma to accompany each and every living entity. Out of his kindness, he has become the Paramatma and is following us in all the different species of life. Sometimes as a pig, sometimes as dog, sometimes as bird, sometimes as human being. But Krishna accompanies us. And then the perfection of self-realization is to understand that I'm eternal servant of Krishna. And what I have to do? I have to hear and chant about Krishna. Become Krishna, worship the deity of Krishna. Remember Krishna, offer prayers to Krishna. Serve Krishna as a friend, as a parent, you know. A Krishna conscious person or unflinching devotee of the Lord should not be disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, nor be engaged in fruitive activities for promotion to the heavenly kingdom. So we should give up our desire to get some punya karma, some pious activity. I'll do this puja, I'll do this yagya, this tantra, this mantra, and then I will get some punya karma. With that punya karma, I can go to the heaven, and then over there I'll enjoy. So we should give up that desire, you know. It's just going to distract us away from our journey back home. In Krishna consciousness, one comes directly into communion with Krishna, and thus all directions from Krishna may be understood in that transcendental state. One is sure to achieve results by such activities and attain conclusive knowledge. One has only to carry out the orders of Krishna or his representative, the spiritual master. So Bhakti Yoga, the process of Bhakti Yoga is, we engage in the process of Bhakti Yoga under the guidance of a spiritual master who's coming in the disciplic succession, who's coming in the parampara, because we don't know Krishna. It's the Guru knows Krishna, so he can take us to Krishna, but we have to understand who is truly a Guru. That's our responsibility. When we buy a diamond, we do so much research work. We ask so many people, we go to different jewelers, we try to understand what's the value, how much it should be. So getting a spiritual master is a most important subject for us because it's eternal. It's to do with us, the soul. So we should be very careful to get the correct spiritual master who's coming in the parampara system. And once we find him, then we should hear from him attentively, submissively, serve him, and then he will teach us how to please Krishna. And that is by hearing and chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, hearing from Bhagavad Gita, hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam. That's what's pleasing to Krishna. That's what's pleasing to the spiritual master. Is that okay? So we can stop here for today and then we can chant one round. If there are no any questions or comments or anything, we can just then chant one round then. Yeah. So Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for joining in today.